Hello, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another amazing video by Ibiduni Oladayo, and today we'll be talking about why I think you should shoot more handheld videos. One of the things I've noticed with new filmmakers while coming up is we tend to avoid shooting handheld videos, probably because most times we're shooting with smaller cameras, DSLRs that have really lightweight, and they don't have enough balance to actually get usable handheld footages. If you check out most of Hollywood movies, you always see at least a footage or a section whereby the footage is shot on handheld. The normal human eye do not see very static. There's some kind of movement to your head when you're seeing with your eye. So to replicate that realistic look for your audience to see, you might have to shoot handheld sometimes just to show that feeling of, oh, I'm seeing this through someone's eyes. I'd like to throw a quick reference to a video I shot for Zinoleski, a music video, and we intentionally shot 80% of that video on handheld. The reason we chose that was because we're trying to show and make the audience feel like they're in the same party with the artist and probably dancing and moving. So if you look through that video a lot, you will see a lot of handheld movements, like someone is turning their head to the left, to the right. It's actually helped in telling our story, in the sense that it is putting our audience in that same scene as the artist. That's just an example you can also refer to and probably try that in some videos you're about to shoot. Shooting handheld is way faster. You have like a lot more faster setup time. You almost never miss a shot, especially when you're shooting documentaries and a lot of things are kind of happening at the same time. Most times when I shoot documentaries, I'll always go handheld most of the time. It saves you a lot of time in setup. Shooting handheld helps you to control the emotion of your video. You can control how you want the audience to see a shot, how you want the audience to feel a shot. While shooting handheld, you can decide to stay static, or you can decide to move with the movement of your subject. So it gives you more control over the emotion you're trying to pass. And most definitely, I think everyone will agree with me that shooting handheld is definitely going to be cheaper for your production. Sometimes you do not need so much gear. You don't need all those equipment that you're taking out for that particular production you're going for. Sometimes you might just need a tripod and your camera, and then you can also shoot handheld whenever you like. There are a lot of times, a lot of projects I have taken out gimbal or rented out full Ronin setup or Steadicam, and probably I just use it for like maybe one shot, or I never ever use it at all. I could have invested that fund in probably getting better lenses for my production. So next time, before you start out for a production, be exactly sure of the equipment you need. If you don't need gimbals for that production, don't take a gimbal. Don't rent out a gimbal, except probably you have one. Some quick tips for shooting handheld that might actually help. First thing I'll recommend is try to use heavier cameras, or try to make your camera heavier in a way. Lighter cameras are easy to shake because your hands can easily move them in any direction. What you should do is probably try to make your camera, if it's in a DSLR, try to make it a little bit heavier. Maybe use heavier lenses, or probably add a battery grip to it, or probably add an handle to it, or something, or add a cage to it. Just make the camera a little bit heavier than it is, and you see improvements in your handheld footages. Another point would be to use lenses that have image stabilization. Even if your camera is not that heavy, if you have image stabilization turned on in your lens, it helps to balance those micro jitter. Actually, what is ugly, what you don't like in handheld footages are the micro jitter shakes. We want the shake, but we don't want it to be very glitchy. We want it to be very smooth, probably moving from left to right, up to down in a very rhythmic manner. Another point would be to use an easy rig if you can afford one. Easy rigs are really good. It adds more points of contact to your camera, which is the point I'll see eventually get to. Easy rig add an extra point of contact from the top, and then you have your hand and third hand. That's 3 points of contact to your camera. Will help you get that smooth, buttery handheld footages, handheld shots that we're looking for. Another major mistake that most filmmakers usually make with shooting handheld is you try to hold the camera in a still position. No, if you want to hold the camera in a still position, please use a tripod. But if you're trying to get the handheld shots that we're looking for, the smooth butter handheld shot, don't try to hold the camera in a still position. When you stiff your hands and your body to try to keep the camera still, you're creating more shakes by trying to hold the camera still, because your hand starts to vibrate in a very, very tiny manner when you squeeze your muscles so much. So don't try to hold the camera still. Instead, what you should do is flow with your subject. Hold the camera in a very light position, and then as your subject is moving, you try to mirror their movement from left to right, up, down, forward, backward, or whatever the movement should be. You should basically free yourself. Don't be too stiff with the camera. The next point I would like to talk about is use wider lenses. Actually, wider lenses by default hides shakes in your camera, in your footages. The wider your lenses, the more unnoticeable or the more pleasurable the shakes is to the eye. But when you're using like zoom lenses, I would say lenses from like 50mm and above might not be too suitable for handheld. From 50mm below is a good spot to shoot handheld. But some people, you might still be able to shoot 50mm and above on handheld, depending on the stylistic kind of shots you're trying to get. But ultimately, I'll say from 50mm below would be good shots to shoot handheld on, because at that point your shakes are very, very minimal. It's just more pleasurable to see. Final point to help shoot better handheld footage would be to have 3 to 4 points of contact on your camera. Like, try to always have this. In short, let me show you how I do that, how I achieve 3 to 4 points of contact. So this is a C500 Mark 1, and this is a heavy camera actually, and this is a very heavy lens. So if I had an easy rig, I'll attach it here, and then it comes from up here. So firstly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold my camera here to create 1 point of contact. Then secondly, I'm going to hold the camera here on the lens to create the second point of contact. And this is also, if you're shooting manual focus, you can also use this hand to adjust your focus. Then the next thing, I'm going to put this camera close, this hand close to this place to create 3 points of contact. And thirdly, I'm going to take this camera to my chest like this. So like this, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 points of contact in your camera, and then you can have good handheld footage, usable handheld footage that will give you the results like you're looking for. If you're looking out to shoot handheld footage, actually, not everyone is a fan of that, but I am kind of like a fan of shooting handheld footages, especially when I'm shooting documentaries and probably some events. Maybe not so much with commercials, depending on the story actually. So follow the story and use these tips to get good handheld footages. I hope more people that watch this video will end up shooting more handheld footages. I just said I should drop this points. For those of you that watch my YouTube, please tell me about my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow this channel, trying to be consistent, and I need you guys to share, like, subscribe on this video. Probably drop a comment. If there are more points that you feel I didn't say, I'll be open and willing to learn from you also, and let's grow this channel together. See you on the next video. Peace out.